Hello world. This is a Japanese hand towel. In Japanese, it's called tenugui, or literally a hand wiper. You can use it to wipe, well, your hands. You can also use it to wipe your dishes, or perhaps use it as a dust cover for your items. The process to make them is a lot more hands-on than I thought. I had kind of thought it'd be like a screen-printed t-shirt, where you can transfer a digital design onto a screen and then go at it. But that's not the case, as I found out. And the reason I found out was all because of my wife. So this story really starts with my wife, who would often visit a neighborhood in Tokyo called Ningyocho, which is known to have many merchants and artisans living there. She always walked by the shop that displayed its tenugui on the side of its building. She wanted to know what was inside, but it didn't look like a place that a regular person could enter and buy things from. But one day, she looked up the company online and found that they handmade Japanese cloth for local businesses and groups, festivals, and even for kabuki performers to give out as gifts. She also realized that anyone could make their own if you ordered enough of them. So that's exactly what we did. So to start our handmade towel journey, we had to figure out what kind of design we liked. There's a lot of different styles of artwork, which you can see in the hundreds of tenuguis they've made over the years. We ended up going with a design that could showcase various scenes from our videos. We picked out a scene from our first video, what Japanese breakfast is like. We put in a scene from what a Japanese house party is like, and one from another favorite, what owning a ramen restaurant in Japan is like. And of course, we included our lovely cats. Now, I only realized this while looking at the footage, but I'm fairly sure that even though my wife did illustrations of the various scenes, the designer simply took screenshots of them and did her own illustrations, which she did by tracing and drawing out the various elements by hand before digitizing it all. I think she did a great job of laying out the scenes all together. However, I think we didn't do the best job of picking out scenes, since a lot of them, 6 out of 9, had food in them. With this art style and the amount of space we had to work with, the fine details of food dishes didn't always translate so well. So we asked if we could take out some scenes, like the ones from our school lunch video, and instead add some visually distinctive elements, which are admittedly very Japanesey. They were Mount Fuji, Tori, and an onsen. We had shot lots of footage of these 3 things, but never in a single scene. The design became cleaner, and this is what we decided to go with. With the design finished and digitized, it was sent to the shokunin who would create the stencil pattern. To film that process, I sent my sister-in-law Ako on the train for a few hours to the prefecture of Mie. The area around Suzuka is where there are many katagami craftspeople, the people who make stencil patterns. However, their numbers have decreased considerably since the peak in the 1960s. The one condition that Ako had to follow in order to film was that there was no talking allowed. This must have been really hard for Ako, as she's a jovial and talkative person. She actually did say that quietly filming was very nerve-wracking for her. If the design is carved out completely as is, certain pieces would separate, so it's carved so that every piece is connected together. The little connection pieces are called tsuri. Carving out the designs can take anywhere from 5 hours to 2 days. By the way, there are different kinds of specialties among katagami shokunin. Some are specialized in carving designs for dyeing fabric, like tenugui and kimonos, while others carve fine lines to showcase on their own. The work is called ise katagami and is a Japanese designated traditional handicraft. The owner of the shop showed us an ise katagami masterpiece created by his friend who is, and this is hard to translate, a human treasure or living national treasure. They said that when they carve, they do it all at once, not even taking bathroom breaks, so they limit their water intake up to a week in advance. Once the pattern is carved, it has to be made ready for use in the dyeing process. They do this by making a shabari, which is made by rolling on a liquid containing lacquer that hardens the pattern. And to be clear, this pattern that they're hardening isn't ours, but the process would be the same. It's turned over and misted with water, making it easy to peel off the paper. Before putting on a mesh, they cut out all the connecting parts, the tsuri, that temporarily held the design together. The mesh is then put over the carved out pattern. The mesh used to be made of cotton or silk, but now it's made of synthetic fibers. Now the mesh is being attached. Excess water is removed and it's left to dry. When the humidity level is high, the lacquer quickly hardens, so in winter they have a humidifier to keep the area moist so that the design gets stuck to the mesh and not the paper.
もう加湿器が手放せないっていうか、湿度40とか30とかになっちゃうんで。
こう液体の匂いもすごいからなんか
すごいでしょ。
ぼわっとなりますね。ぼーっとしてきちゃいますね。
He's peeling the paper off, which I'm told is the most difficult part of the process.
息を飲みますね。なんか私も息を止めてしまった。
動いちゃっても直せることは直せるんだけども、それをやってるともう全然仕事の進み時間が違ってきちゃう。毎回おっかなびっくりですね。
The process is done. Now it'll be pressed in a vise for several hours. This is what our design looked like once it went through all those steps. Now, in Tokyo's Edogawaku, we're at the Ise-yasu dyeing factory, where they dye the fabric using a technique called chusen. This is fabric that hasn't been dyed yet. It's been soaked in a solution and is now drying. This is done so that it can absorb the dye better. After it's dried, the fabric is rolled up. While it's being rolled, it's stretched out, removing any wrinkles and debris that may be on it. If any debris is left on the fabric, it won't get dyed properly, so this is an important part of the process.
白い生地に直接染料をかけちゃうと生地が傷んじゃうので、こういう捨て布というものを最初に使います。
After that, a new white cloth that's ready to be dyed is placed down. The mold is put over top of it, and then the dye-proof paste is applied. When the mold is raised, the paste is left on top of the fabric, and then a new layer of fabric is folded over top. The mold is placed back down, and the process starts once again.
この糊を置く作業も簡単そうにやってるんですけども、すごく難しい作業で、均一に糊を置いていかないと染めた時に文字が潰れちゃったりとか、線がガタガタになっちゃったりとか、染まる必要のないところまで染まっちゃったりとかで、その後の染めの出来にものすごく重要な影響を与えるという。柄が細かければ細かいほど熟練した技術が必要になってくる。
Once the fabric has been covered in paste, it's left here covered in sawdust. By doing this, the part that's covered in paste won't be sticky, preventing debris from sticking to it. This process is called koya, and the craftsman will make partitions in the design where the colors are to be separated. One of the unique things about this chusen dyeing method is that multiple colors can be used in a single mold. This dyeing process was developed in the early 1900s so that many pieces of fabric can be dyed at the same time. There's a pedal at the front of the machine that, when pressed, will suck the dye in. The machine quickly sucks the dye in all at once so that it's dyed in a consistent manner.
そうですね、温めながら使ったりしますね。でもこの温度によって染め上がりの色合いなんかも変わってきたりしちゃうこともあるんで、これは赤を染めてるんですけど、今はまだ黄色なんですよね。この後もう一回別の液を注いで化学反応を起こして赤にします。
They then flip it over and repeat the same process again. By doing this, the entire fabric will be evenly dyed. We were curious, so we asked how many colors could be used. If more than 10 colors are used, the craftspeople will work while constantly checking the order form, which could cause mistakes. So they suggest that 7 or 8 colors at most is the best.
最近の手ぬぐいはね、カラフルなものが多いんで、そこら辺がすごく難しいなんていうふうに職人さん方は。
One batch of our tenugui has now been dyed. Since there is still paste on the surface, the next process is removing it. And you do that at the water station. While swinging the fabric back and forth, the paste is removed.
"これも機械ができる前はああいう竿でバシャバシャバシャって洗ってました。
Now it's quickly spun to remove the water. This is where they climb up with a rope. The people on the bottom attach the fabric to the rope. Then the person on the top pulls it up.
この辺り昭和の頃はたくさん線香場があって、その線香場ごとに伊達があるんで、夏の時期なんかはそこにたくさん反物が下がっている様子が風物詩みたいな。
Now we've returned to the Toraya shop. One by one, each piece was carefully hand cut with scissors. The rhythmic sound of the cutting works as ASMR. To the end, it's a very hands-on process. They specially fold it so that it shows a nice part of the design.
裏面には富士山が
本当ですね。
The design of the towel has a meaningful story behind it.
個人的に今ちょっと思ったのは、飼育場再生場所が、まあここら辺みたいな。でこれよく手ぬぐいでも使われる表現なんですけど、あえてまだ続きますよ。だから LWIF が今後もまだまだ続いていく、この人の輪が広がっていきますよみたいな。いい感じじゃないですか。
In the process of learning about tenugui, we found other traditional handmade Japanese goods still being created by the grandchildren and even the great-grandchildren of the original shokunin. The city of Tokyo has an event showcasing the craftspeople. At this event, you can watch the crafts being made and even buy them.
家業でして、私の父が、師匠というか、父が今店主なんですけども3代目になってまして、で私で4代目です、
私が3代目です。31年になるかな。あんまり言いたくないけどでもどんどん人は減っちゃってますね。後継者がいないからね。
伝統的な柄の手ぬぐい浴衣を作るのももちろんなんですけれども、それまでの、伝統とはまた違って、ポップなものだったりとか斬新なものだったりとか、そういった、今までの既成概念みたいなものにとらわれない、浴衣手ぬぐいというものを常に提供し続けようと。だからなんとなくこう手ぬぐいって古臭いんじゃないかとか、浴衣ってなんか難しいとかってイメージがあるかと思うんですけれども、結局もう江戸時代の人たちが、庶民の人たちが使ってたものなんですよね、浴衣も手ぬぐいも。だからそんな難しく考えることなくって、自分の使いたいもの着たいものを、常にポケットに忍ばせるとか、羽織ってみるとか、それくらいの感覚で、使ってもらえればなっていうのが我々の願いでもありますし、そういうところにこだわったものづくりをしていこうっていうのがあります。
So the thing is, we made 500 tenugui. There's only so many hand towels we can use, so we started coming up with different ways to use them.
それさ作ったんだけど、もうお母さんだったらどうする？
そうね。柄が可愛いからここにかけたら、ああ、
I have to say, not a bad idea. We now have 478 tenugui remaining, so if you'd like to get your hands on one, check the link in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace. What would you use a tenugui for?